Okay, we're up to the point where we're going to actually start making the lines and the scoring and cutting the pieces of paper up so that we can actually fold it all into the album. We're going to make a scoring mark every 3 inches. So that's going to be 3 scores. So that's at 9 and at 6 and then again at 3. And then we flip it around and do exactly the same thing. So basically what we're doing is we're making a grid pattern on the single piece of paper. Now you'll notice I'm just using a white piece here, and that's because I already started using my pattern paper and I'd already cut it, and then I realised I wanted to video it, so that's why you've got the tricky Trina here today. Okay, so we've got all the lines and a grid crisscross across there, and now we're going to swap the scoring blade for a cutting blade. And what we want to do is we want to cut from here up to 3/4, from there down to 3/4, and from here up to 3/4. So it's a little bit weird, but we can do that. Pop it in, work out exactly where it goes. There we go, 1, and then down to the 3/4, and then up again. So now what we've got is a very floppy bit of paper, and then you just do the up and down as an accordion, up and down, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way through. And once it's folded nicely, we can just get it this way. And you fold it out, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. And we're just going to stick those pieces together so that they are solid, and then we can start decorating. I'm also going to make a front and a back cover, but we'll get to that shortly. Okay, so what we've got here is our cutout pattern paper that I've folded into the accordion folds as shown before, and now we're going to stick all the pieces together to make it stronger. Now for the sake of quickness, probably the best way to do it is just with a bit of double-sided tape, because if you use glue it might just get all sticky and horrible everywhere. And I'm just making it nice and simple, not too see that little trick with the awl, just helps me get it off when my normal fingers won't do it. But what I was saying before is that I'm just trying to make it nice and quick and easy without being too, I don't know, too fussy, I guess is the word. And then you can just stick it together. Okay, and so when we turn it back over, you can see that oops a daisy, there we go, that is now a page. So I'm going to do that with all of these parts throughout here, and then I'll come back to you in just a moment. And there you have it. The album is ready to go and be decorated, and a cover put on each side. Fabulous! Okay, so what we're doing now is we're just going to cut a bit of paper to pop through the Cuttlebug so we can make some of the decorations for the front cover. And we'll pop this on top of here, pop that on. Everyone does this a different way, so feel free to just do what you normally do. oops, I need a seed plate. Okie doke. And that goes through here. And we get a, whoa. Now when that happens, you know what to do, right? You just put it back through a few times, and in fact what we're going to do is pop a shim in there as well, and that just helps it get the right tension to make the cutting. And then I'll just go through a couple of times. Let's see what happens this time. Ah, that's much better. So we'll take them both out, and this is where I get my awl involved, because some of these, once you put the shim in, can be quite tight. Now, did you know that if you have trouble getting items out of your dies, all you need to do is put some wax paper on first, and that will make it so much easier to pop out. See how easy that one came out? Perfect. And that's a really great contrasting colour. Now the other thing we need is the little piece that goes on top, so we're going to use that spare piece and just pop it out there and pop it on top. I'm actually going to go for this colour over here. There we go, that's a bit better, a bit more contrast. Okay, so what we've got is we've got 3 pieces that we're going to layer one on top of the other with some foam tape in the middle so that you get a really nice dimensional look. We're also going to cut out from here some flags. Now this will be good just right here. See the different colours that we've got along here? So we're going to just cut in here. Now I'm not particular when I cut out my flags, I just cut them as I go like this, because I know roughly how big I want them to be on my project, and it makes it easy peasy. And what you get when you do this is a group of them on the other side that you can just go like this, and you've got a whole other set. So now that we've got our pieces, what we're going to do is make the front cover. Okay, so what I've got here is a large piece of card, and I'm just going to cut that down for my front and back covers. You need the cover to be slightly larger so that it actually covers the inside of the album. So what I'm doing is I'm making it 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So I cut down, whoops, at 3.5 inches. Here we go. Back and forth, and then because it is such thick card, I just cut it off where it's been scored, and then what I can do is go to 7 inches, score there, and go to 3.5 inches, score there, cut them both off, and those are my covers. Perfectly the same size, everything's good. Now we just need to cover them. Now I'm going to use some of the Tim Holtz, let's have a look, scattered straw, because it's very similar sort of shading for the old Firefly. Just get around both edges of both sides, especially the inside cover, because it may not cover, once we put it all in, it may not cover the whole area. So I want to make sure it's all covered with some kind of colour. Okie doke. And now, let's have a look, see if this is going to work. 7 inches just. Let's go with that. We want 3.5. fact, I'm going to go take that bit off the end so I don't confuse myself. And then we're going to go 3.5, which is there. And then 3.5, which is there. Those two pieces are particularly pretty, so I think I'll use this as my front colour. See how beautifully those colours work together? And we're going to just glue that on. Did you hear that little donk? I just donked my head on my light. Okay, so we've got 1. And 2. Doesn't actually matter which way you stick them on because it's all the same size. You can turn it when you go to put your album together. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is actually pop our pieces of die cuts on here and attach them, adhere them down. So I'm going to pop this one on first, and I'm just using this foam tape. Actually it's not foam tape because it's actually a piece of board, foam board, and you can get it as foam tape, which is just like sellotape but thick, but I prefer to cut my own pieces into my own sizes. So what we're going to do now is pop on the flags. They just need to be glued on. And it depends on the size that you've cut them as to how many you'll use. And it's quite simple really. You saw before I just cut the triangles and pop them on. And because a lot of this is underneath the next layer, it doesn't have to be that flash. Now the next thing I did is I got some string. Let me just reach for that and grab it. And we just cut a little bit of that off. And I just popped a little line of glossy accent along here, along the top. And then what you do is you let it go tacky so that it makes it a lot easier to attach things to it. And you can do this with beads and all sorts of other bits and pieces. Glossy accents is one of my favourite things to use for adhesives. It only takes a minute or so, and then you just pop it down. Excellent. And now we're ready to pop our second layer on. Now I just put some glue on there because I had to pull this off because I missed one of my steps. I had to show you the correct way to do it, of course. So we just lost a bit of stickiness there. And then we're ready to pop this one on. So this is our final layer. And it goes on just there. Alrighty, so now we can put an actual title on and a couple of flowers. Now let me see what I've got here. No, they're not going to work. I'm just going to go and find some. Be right back. Okay, so the flowers I've chosen are these gorgeous little ones. I really love all the tiny flowers that Prima brings out. They're perfect for filling in spots, and especially on something like this, which is so little. Now these ones are called Miss Godivas, and this is the marshmallow flavour. There are of course lots of different colours, and I think I showed you one just before. Those ones are mermaid. Gorgeous colours. Now what I've gone for is one large and one smaller one, and they're just going to pop on just right there like that. And of course you keep the packaging of anything you've used. These things here are ideal if you just pop these off, and then you get the glue dots off very carefully. like so, and then you just cut them out and you can use them on your scrapbook pages. It's fantastic. Okay, so we've got that on. Let's glue them down. Now again, you can use any type of glue that you like. I often, when I'm doing something like this, will use a hot glue gun. But this is here and it's easy and it doesn't need to be particularly quick today. I'm not moving it anywhere, so that will do just nicely. And now we're going to pop on a title. Okay, so what I've got here is some of the Prima alphabet stickers. I've pulled them out of this packet. So again, you can see how gorgeous the packaging is and how you can use this again. It's not just packaging, you know, cut out all of these pieces here or around the edges where that stitching is. It's gorgeous, you can use that again. Now this is actually the Rondelle line of alphabet stickers, and I like this particular green colour here. So we're going to use that for our title. And what I love about this is how many of the same letter you get on each colour range, and the fact that you do get 2 colours. So this will probably last me, oh, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 layouts, possibly more. And of course then you can use any leftovers as a background or for misting or anything like that. So there's a lot of value in these packets. Okie dokie, so my title is going to be Advice. You can see I'm just using an awl, and the reason I do that is I can easily get hold of the letters, and you can also pop out the little, what do you call it, the little bits that are, you know, the things that are in the middle of the letters. I don't know what those parts are called. So we're going to go A, D, V, I, C, E. Now where's the V? Here it is. V, I, C, E. Because this little album is going to be about advice I'm going to give my teenage daughter. In fact, it can be for boys and girls. There is our front cover. Now, I've also got one over here, which we're going to then carry on with and make the insides. This one is a little mini album. It's made in exactly the same way. In fact, I showed you earlier when I was putting the pages together. Just different colours, and what we're doing in this album is years from 1 to 6 of my daughter, and just some favourite photos that I have of her on her birthday or her birthday party for that year. So what we need to do is we're going to eventually pop that onto there and stick that down, and that's going to be the front entrance to the album as such. And then each page in here is going to have all the photos. But on this front, very front cover, the opening, what I want to do is pop some journaling to tell people what this book is about. So what I do is I printed it off onto A4 paper, then I lined it up, put on some actual other paper, and printed through again. So you can see there's a double up here, and what I try and do when I do that is always put the edge along the edge of the paper, and that way I get it perfectly straight. So now that I've done that, I can take that off. I'm just going to cut it roughly to start with because I want to make sure that I've got enough paper and all that kind of stuff all around the edges. Okie doke. So I think we'll just do a little bit more on this side, a little bit more off the bottom, and we're ready to go. Pop it in the album. Now the other thing I'd like to do this time round is to pop a bit of ink around the edges so it will stand out from the page because it's purple on purple, and that just helps give it definition. And I'm going to use some Henzo photo splits to pop that on. Now if I was taking my time with it, I'd probably just use a half of a photo split on each corner and go like this. because I'm just being lazy, I'm going to do the whole photo split, and that is going to come in here like this. So that is what you're going to see on the very first page as you open it up, and it's just my little thoughts on what this album is. Now with all the photos, what I want to do is I want to sand the edges. Again, what it does is just gives a bit of definition around the outside of them. You can use any old sandpaper that you've got in the house. Just go and raid your toolbox, see what you can find. Okay, just give it a wipe off on the old trousers. Okay, and so you can see it's almost like it's got a little white mat around it, and that can now go on page 1 because this is Sarah's very first birthday party. So again, we're just gonna stick it in, and I'm going to put all the photos on the same side, like so, and then I'm going to put some more decorating or perhaps some journaling or something on this side. So let's just do all the photos. Okay, so that is right up to the back page. So basically what we've got is we've got the first opening, and then we go year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this is the back page. So all we need to do now is attach these, the front covers and the back covers, to the actual album. But before I do that, what I'd like to do is put some ribbon through it so that I can actually tie it together and keep it closed. Okay, so we're just about ready to put the ribbon on, and then we can put our covers onto our album. Now the ribbon, I'm just gonna, because we're not gonna see it, I'm not gonna worry about what I'm using. This is gonna be underneath the pages in the album. So I'm just using my glossy accents because it's easy. Make sure it's lined up right, and just give it a little bit of room, bit of space. And that way the album can fit in between. If you're having trouble with that, because my fingers are sticky from the glue, just use an awl or something just to hold it down while it glues together. Okay, and now what we're going to do is pop in the album. Again, I'm just using a liquid glue, my glossy accents. I'm going to pop it down like this. It's right up against the edge. And then we're going to put some glue on the top here and bring this over. And then what I'm going to do is take it over like this and open it up so I can have a little look, make sure it's in the right place. There we go. Yep, we're good. And now I can pop it down properly. So we'll just put that aside and let it set, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, oh, that sun's no good at the moment. But I just want to show you the final piece, what it looks like. We've got our ribbon tying it together. We've got our back page. That's the binding on the book. And of course the front cover again. When we open it up, we've got a ton of pages inside, and you can then just go through and decorate them however you'd like. There's plenty of room to write notes, add more photos, obviously more embellishments and stuff, and you're done. And this one, I've gone for, I haven't actually finished it yet, but I've gone for the white insides, just to make it a little more contrasting. And that is how you can make a mini album with just one piece of cardstock. Pretty cool. Hope you join me on my blog. Just Google Trina McClune. Otherwise, check out www.trinamcclune.typepad.com. I'll see you there soon. Bye. Now, one thing I forgot to show you, and hopefully you can see it now that it's up close, is these dots on the front cover. And what I did is, before I stuck it down, is I put the front cover through this embossing folder to get this dotting pattern. Obviously you can do that with any embossing, and then what I did is I inked around the edges just with the good old Distress ink, and that just gave it a very subtle quality that made the dots stand out a little bit more. Now, because I have been talking about these distress inks in this video, I thought I'd show you a little trick of mine, and I actually got it off a friend of mine called Wendy Jones. She's a fantastic scrapbooker and very talented. Anyway, she has all of her foam pads on the back of each colour, so that when she goes to use it, she just pulls off the one that's there, puts on the new one, and away you go. And it means that you're never having to worry about cross-contamination with colours.